All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of the Jason Scalora Show, here with my boy Ivan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Ivan and I, you can press it off now, please.
All right, no problem.
Ivan and I have been boys since, Christ, how long has it been?
It's been so long.
So long. Middle school, 7th grade, 8th grade?
Yeah, 7th grade.
7th grade. Yeah, it's a funny story actually. We were playing Minecraft online.
Yeah.
And as some of you, if you're regular listeners, know, I wasn't always the nicest person growing up. And, you know, didn't treat people too kindly, but here we are today. Things have changed, grown, developed. But there was one night where I was playing video games with a couple of my friends from my hometown, and there was this random kid who I've never met in our PlayStation party, and we were playing Minecraft, and it was very late, and I think it was a school night as well, was it?
Probably.
It probably
knowing us, it definitely
knowing
was.
us, it probably was. It's so funny, and we're just sitting there, and I never had met this kid before, and I'm just sitting there, and I am dying laughing. I don't remember. I don't think you remember either.
No,
we have no
not.
idea what the hell we were talking about. All I know is that we stayed up till probably like 3 a.m, dying laughing. Just this kid was making me absolutely cry laughing. I was like, I need to be friends with this kid. And yeah, I haven't looked back since.
Yeah.
Been best friends since, dude.
6-7 years longer.
Hell yeah.
It's incredible, man.
It actually is incredible.
Yeah.
So give us a little breakdown about who is Ivan.
Ivan. The best thing I would say to people is I am a follower of God. That's what I try to tell people.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, not the only thing I care about, but that's what I want to put out into the world.
It's your main mission, 100%.
Yeah.
Here, bring the mic a little bit closer to your mouth. There you go. Yeah. Speaking of that baby.
Yeah. But I just want to help people get to where they want to get to and just live life.
100%.
Only have this moment right now.
100%.
Yeah.
So today's topic that we were thinking about when we were pondering beforehand is a concept that Ivan really helped clarify for me and really just enlightened me on. It was a couple months ago, maybe like a year ago, honestly, at this point. It was a while ago.
It feels like it was yesterday.
It literally feels like it was just we were
Yeah.
talking at Catone, right? In the parking lot.
idea.
Yeah, we were talking
No
in the
idea.
parking lot at Catone. You were talking
Oh,
about,
was it that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Anyways, we were talking, and we were talking about self-improvement, mental health, and that sort of deal. And we were talking about how to get better in any specific area, because a problem that I was running into at the time, I don't even know specifically what it is, doesn't really matter, but I was finding myself in a spot, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, is like you get to a place where you're fully immersed in self-improvement and fully immersed in making your life better, so that to the point where you're trying to work on every area at once.
Everything.
You're trying to work on your spirituality, your relationship with whatever you believe religiously, on your physical health, on your mental health, on your relationships. And you have
Everything.
all these things you're trying to juggle at once. And in turn, you get nothing done because you're trying to be the jack of all trades and the master of none, right? But you can be the master of all, but you have to work on one at a time. And that's where this concept of monitoring came in, where he was like, correct me if I'm wrong, essentially that monitoring is your way of essentially prioritizing something. It doesn't even matter what it is, but it's essentially what you focus on, you'll see more of in life, right?
Yeah.
So like you have this Jesus is King sweatshirt. Before you got that sweatshirt, if somebody else was wearing it, your brain wouldn't even notice it. But now that you have it, it's important to you. So that's essentially what monitoring, that's how it shows up. But it shows up in terms of
Everything, man.
it shows up in everything. So like, I don't even know what it was in my case, but whatever I was trying to improve on, had too many things that I was trying to focus on at once. And then as a result of that, the thing that I wanted to work on the most at the time, whatever it was, wasn't popping up into my life. So like, for example, if I wanted to get my body, if I wanted to get into really good shape, and every single day I was just trying to juggle all these balls at the same time, I'm never going to be in conversations with people looking for certain things, whether consciously or unconsciously, that are going to bring me to a higher spot in my life in terms of my physical health, right? Because whatever you're monitoring, whatever you're focusing on, you're going to take bits and pieces of conversations, of anything from life.
You're going to attract it into your life.
100%.
Like, if you think about it, it has to happen to you. Nothing really can happen unless you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't think of something you've never seen before.
Right.
Like, that's why daydreaming, that's what I've been on recently.
Yeah.
Just think about where you want to be.
Yeah.
That's so important. You could just see where you are. And if you take that time to process where you want to be, things just come into your life that you just wouldn't expect coming.
Right.
Just because you're putting that effort in your mind. Because your mind, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Think negatively, positively.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, whichever way you pick, that's where your life's gonna go.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna see. Yeah. The way that I think about it a lot too is like, because I think I've been you clarified that a lot better than I did. But the way Tony Robbins puts it, he's like he has people go through this test is like it's essentially like an optimism pessimism test. It's a little corny to say it like that, but he says, okay, he gets his whole audience. He says, all right, I'm going to test you in a second. I want you to look around, find everything in the room that's red. Everything. Anything you could think of. Over here, over there, look behind you. All right, now close your eyes. Tell me everything you saw in the room that was blue.
My fault. That thing over there,
All right, there's one thing. But like usually like the chances are you're going to find a lot more things that are red.
It.
Yes, you're going to find a lot more red than you find blue.
Of course.
But that's because that's what you're looking for. And what you look for, you're going to find. It's the same room. Nothing changed in the room. The only thing that changed was your perspective. And that's what monitoring does, is you'll see the same thing, but you'll take out different meanings from it because you're focusing on certain things. And when it comes to personal development, if you're trying to juggle all these balls at the same time, you're actually going to have them all fall rather than just keeping one in your hand.
Yeah, it's like if you have 10 things going on, how I see it is you can only get 10% good on every single one. Because let's say you have 100% like jar, and you have 10 things going. Maybe some are like 20%, one's 5%, but nothing's going to be 100%.
100%.
If you take one thing and be like, I want to be the master of it, think about, because you'll have all the time into whatever you want to do. Like, let's say you have 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
You spend 10 hours on that one skill.
Yeah.
That's 10 hours you have. Say you want to do 10 things. That's 1 hour each day.
Yeah.
Multiply that by weeks, months, years. You're not going to get that same level if you're doing it 10 hours a day.
Sorry. Just making sure what they were talking about.
We're all good.
Yeah. No, 100%. I agree. And the thing that I find super interesting about that as well is like when you focus on one thing instead of trying to get better in all these areas at the same time, it's not like it's not an all or nothing thing where it's like, hey, Yvonne and I aren't telling you to go out there and drop everything else in your life and only focus on one thing at a time. And 100% of your day should be just exercising and stretching and physical health. And then that means, so since you're focusing on physical health, stop meditating, stop journaling, stop reading. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is when you want to upgrade your life in one area, focus on that an overwhelming majority of the time. Yeah. And the thing that I find it's profound is that when you do that, you don't increase linearly, you increase exponentially. So what I mean by that is like, you won't, like, if you focus on 10 things at once, you might get a little bit better in this area, 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 and like maybe you'll move up over time slowly. But when you focus on one area and you have all of your energy and you're monitoring that, and all of your focus is into that one area, things get better faster. It accelerates. It doesn't just, you don't just slowly speed up. It literally accelerates. Like the best way I can think of to concretely explain this is like in financial terms, right? So if one of the areas of life that you're trying to get better on is your career and your finances, and you're monitoring that's what you're focusing on, that's the red you're picking out of the world, then it's not going to be like, okay, now I'm going to go from making $1,000 a month to $2,000 a month, and then that's it. You'll do things. An example is like, let's say you learn how to trade stocks better. So then let's say you start with $1,000, but you're monitoring money, you're monitoring this is what you want to get better at, and you put $1,000 into the stock market, you learn how to trade, you're getting better at that kind of stuff, and then you turn your 1,000 into 2,000, but then you turn that 2,000 into 4, to 8, to 16, to 32, to 64, and so on and so on and so on. It's not 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 to 4,000, because when all of your energy is focused on one thing, no matter what the area of life is, you exponentially get better. And that's the power of monitoring. And it's fucking, it's insane. Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
Once you like really start to think about it, at least to me, it makes complete sense.
Oh my God,
like,
100%.
Just whatever you think about, that's what you are.
Yeah.
It says that in the Bible. It says that everywhere. It's just, I don't know. Don't know what to say right now.
But
I was gonna say I wanted to kind of like change the topic a little bit, but you're talking about you started with that 1,000.
Yeah.
And then let's say you get up to 100,000, right?
Right.
If you started at 100,000, you probably would have went straight down.
Yeah.
But if you start off with a little level, another word that I like to use is basics.
Yeah.
You have to learn the basics of everything before you can become a pro.
So what example do you think of when you?
Like you were saying, like you start off with like $1,000, right? Let's say you want to get to 100,000. You got to know the basics. Like say it's your only $1,000.
Yeah.
You're gonna spend so much time trying to learn it.
Right.
And you're gonna fail. But at the same time, 1,000 is a lot better to lose than 100,000.
Right.
So you have that, you're failing, which is just you learning, but you're learning the basics. So when, like 3-4 years in time, once you have $100,000, you're gonna know how to use it.
Yeah.
Rather than just having $1,000 and just wasting it.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. It's almost like when you leverage yourself to a point where you have nothing to lose but everything to lose at the same time. That's when you're going to find the maximal development. Yeah. Yeah. When you're back, we talk about it. Yeah. We talk about it all the time. It's burning the boats.
You have to.
You have to. Like, what was the example we gave on the podcast the other day? And the other, it's a conscious cast. Shout out to the conscious cast. We talked about burning the boats, right? Because for a lot of kids, especially the people that are watching this, our crowd is usually kids in college and high school. And a lot of times what this crowd finds themselves in is they only have motivation. We both know it's a dirty word, but they find this spike of inspiration when they're laying in bed on TikTok after 3 hours of scrolling through girls shaking their ass at like 3 a.m, where they're like, oh, it's time to get my life together.
I have to change right now.
Now it's time. Yeah. Now everything's gonna get. I want to get
everything happened for this moment right here.
Yes, and then they stand up and they're like, all right, I'm gonna plan out my day. Tomorrow I'm gonna wake up at 6 a.m. Then I'm gonna go to the gym. And I'm gonna meditate. And I'm gonna read. And I'm gonna journal. I'm gonna clean my room. I'm gonna do this and this and this.
And then you go in the kitchen. You see the cookies.
Yeah.
And then you go back in bed. On TikTok.
Yeah.
Sleep. You didn't finish your list. Yeah. So you woke up late. Didn't even start the first thing on the list.
Yeah.
And your day is just rushing now.
Yeah. Because you indulge. But here's the thing that I was getting at was like, in that moment, when you feel that spike of motivation, that is whether you, for somebody like you, if you're a Christian and you believe in God, like myself as well, that's God's gift to you. That second of inspiration, you can use it.
Hold on to it.
And you should use it. But here's the thing is like, people misunderstand. They get so wrapped up in that moment thinking that motivation is going to carry on forever. It's not. But that motivation you can use as a tool, as a leverage against yourself tomorrow, right? So for me, the thing that I love to do when it's 3 a.m. and you spent 3 hours on TikTok looking at girls shaking their ass and you feel that spike of inspiration to get your life together and you feel motivated, in that moment where that motivation is high, leverage yourself. For me, I would send Alex $100 on Venmo, right? When I would feel that spike of motivation and I would say, listen, you need a picture of me in the gym parking lot at 5 a.m. tomorrow, or you keep the money. Because in that moment, it's so easy to do that because I have all this inspiration, all this motivation, all this emotion that just flooded me. It came on to me. I didn't really do anything to get there. But when it comes to me, I realize this is the moment. Leverage myself. Because in the morning when I don't feel that, because you're not going to feel that, especially when the pillow's soft and it's cold and it's damp and it's fucking sucks to get up in the morning, it's too late. You've already leveraged yourself. But that's the pro of it. Because once you do that, and once you do that enough times, you're going to have yourself momentum. And it's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's when you start, life just gets easier, I would say.
Oh my gosh.
You just move. Like nothing's holding you back. You're used to doing that. Yeah. Whatever you do, your mind's going to get used to whatever you're doing.
100%.
Like this podcast right now is my first podcast.
Right.
I'm not used to it, but maybe like a month or two from now, it's just...
Headphones on, we're rolling.
Yeah, like 100%. We're doing it. But it's because of all that time you put into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's... The thing is, if you don't put the time into anything, you're not going to grow.
Yeah.
In any way. But what was the last thing you said? I went with somewhere and I just completely forgot.
No, it happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
I was basically saying, when you're in that moment, just tell me when to spark. I'm just going to run through it. When I'm in that moment of motivation, I leverage myself so that the next day I have to do it. I have to do whatever the task is. And then eventually doing that enough times. Can you shake the mouse?
Yeah.
Eventually you build momentum. And then once you have the momentum behind you, things get easier to do, your habits.
Yeah, it was momentum. But that's when you start doing something that was hard in the beginning. Let's say just working out at 5 a.m. It's hard.
Yeah.
But let's say you do it for a year straight, it becomes easy.
Yeah.
That's, I think, when you have to start monitoring it. If you want to grow, let's say you're used to waking up at 5 a.m. Let's say you want to go to 4 a.m. The only way to do that is to monitor what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because if you leave it like if you just leave it like, I just work out at 5 a.m., your mind is going to focus on something else because you're so used to doing that.
Yeah.
So let's say you want to work out for like 30 minutes more. The only way you're going to do that is if you're thinking about working out.
Right.
Because your mind changes every single day.
Right.
Like there's always that new thing.
Right.
Like people are always changing that new thing.
Yeah.
So when something becomes a habit, like I would say a job, that's probably a lot of people can relate to. They're in that job. If you want to get better at that job, you have to think about the job.
Right. Now that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's dope. I haven't thought about it that way. No, I like that a lot because like I feel like, at least for me, the thing I immediately think of is like I always find myself in situations where, since I already spent time learning about how to work out the proper way with the right form, like I have already accumulated this amount of knowledge because I spent the time monitoring it, focusing on it, upgrading myself in that area. And then I moved on to something else. Maybe I went from exercise to spirituality or whatever it is. Now I could just leave exercise on the shelf and remain an autopilot for there forever. But the truth of the matter is you're just going to stay at that plateau. Unless you go from spirituality, then to maybe your career, then maybe to your relationships, and maybe to religion, and then back to physical health, back to exercise, and then monitor that again and upgrade yourself in certain other areas of like, okay, maybe I'm going to change, like, now I'm going to implement cardio or something, you know what I mean? But that's dope. I haven't thought about that way.
The thing is, if you don't monitor something, I think it slowly goes down. Because in my head, nothing stands still. It either goes up or it goes down. This moment right now, it's either passing or it's going to happen.
So some things are either growing and they're dying?
So if you don't monitor, it's going to die down. Like, let's say you work out at 5 a.m. Those workouts slowly but surely are going to get worse and worse and worse. But that's when people are like, I'm not strong. Like, I'm not lifting as many weights. Yeah, the thing is, you're not thinking about it. Maybe you're doing 12 reps, and then you're so used to it, you do 11 reps thinking it's 12, and then maybe it gets to 10, and then just your workouts are just different from when you started because you were thinking about it so much. But they're still good workouts. Like, I'm not saying they're not.
Right.
It's just, not where at that point you want to be at.
Right. And so it's dying. It's not growing.
Because the thing is, when you have a goal that... I'm trying to think if you want to say
you're good.
something.
Yeah, because that's... Okay. No, because I never thought about it that way. I more so just thought, like, you get to cruising altitude and then you put it in autopilot. But that's definitely not the case now that you kind of put it that way. That's definitely not the case.
Nothing, I mean, how I see it, nothing stands still.
Yeah.
Like, even the Earth, every, like, year, moves, like, whatever. Like,
yeah.
Like, even that, like, there's no way, if you're not thinking about something, you're getting better.
Right.
But the thing is, for me, is, like, I worked out, like, 3 years straight.
Right.
And, like, I want to monitor it. Like, I want, like, but I care about other things more. Yeah, I do. For me, it's worth it to, like, not monitor workout, and maybe my workouts aren't as good. I'm not as big. But let's say I'm thinking about, like, spirituality, like reading the Bible.
Right.
That, for me, right now is more important. Maybe a year from tour now, I go back to the gym.
Yeah, and you're monitoring that, but then your spirituality goes down, but then you go...
It's just up and down, man. Like,
you
can't... That's why you can't be the jack of all trades.
Right.
You can't. Like,
well, not at once.
I mean, think about how many things there are you can't be the best at. There's like billions of things.
Okay, so here's what I think of. It's like your DNA. Like, if I don't give a fuck how hard I try, if I trained every single day as hard as I could for the next 5 years, I'm not getting into the NBA. I'm not. It's not happening.
Yeah.
It's just not happening. The way my neurons fire my brain, the way my athletic abilities, my coordination, I'm 5'8". Like, it's not happening. But on the flip side of that, in the areas of life that do matter, like, which I believe matter to everyone to a certain extent, which is physical health, physical health, mental health, spirituality, religion, if you believe in any religious beliefs, finances, and career. Like, those are the areas that matter. And you can maximize those areas to the best of your ability. So it's like, the way I think about it is like, imagine like the image that's popping to my mind is like, when you see like audio of like music and it has like all these bars that go up and down like this, and it's like with it because the music is playing and like, yeah, like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, literally. Yeah. You see the top bar? Mm-hmm. But like imagine like a bunch of those bars going at different paces. And it's like, or like, imagine better like balloons. Okay. Imagine you have like, there's all these balloons. There's the spiritual balloon, there's the religious balloon, there's the finances, career, all these areas of life that really matter. And you keep tapping them up. Okay. You tap one, and then it's up there. But it's gradually, slowly falling back down, right? And then you hit the next one, and then you hit the next one, and then you hit the next one. And then they're all up out of reach. They're all still gradually falling. So you take another step up, and then you hit it again, and you hit it again, and you hit it again. So all the areas are gradually getting better and better and better and better and better, but they're either growing or they're dying. But over time, like kind of like what I was telling you earlier, like over a 2-month span, all of those areas, or maybe over a year span, over a 10-year span, all of those areas will be better than they were 10 years ago.
They have to be.
But it's fluctuation. Am I making sense?
Yeah, complete sense.
Yeah.
I like the balloon analogy.
Yeah.
It's really helping. How I would add to it is like, let's say you have 5 balloons, right? You're hitting it up, up, up. They're gradually going down. Yeah. Kind of with that basis of like everything either goes up or down. Mm-hmm. Let's say you want to add more balloons. Mm-hmm. Then it starts getting tricky. Right. And the thing is, what people do is, let's say you have 5 balloons. Like, it's pretty easy to like, I'm doing this good. Say you add 5 more. It's getting harder. Let's say you add 15. What happens? Yeah. One falls down, second one falls down.
And then you're so busy trying to get these that everybody else.
Everything goes down. Yeah, that's a good analogy.
That's a real good analogy. I like that.
You started that off very well.
Sure.
No, but.
Damn.
Yeah,
that got me thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. I'm a little starstruck right now.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, because I never thought about it that way. I was so fixated on the mindset of like my example that I give is like I work on my physical body to a certain extent, learn how to work out, and then I never have to focus on working out ever again if I don't want to. But that's not the case because you're either growing or you're dying. So your workouts are going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse to the point where your body's just getting worse.
It's just not as good as it was before.
Right.
We're not saying that it's bad.
Yeah.
In any stretch of the imagination, because if you work out every day, let's just say, even if it's like 20 minutes, you're gonna look good. Yeah. You're not gonna look as good as if you started monitoring it. Yeah. Spent not every ounce of your energy, just more. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's time. I think one thing is like people spend so much time on social media. Yeah. So then they don't have time for themselves and like trying to build those skills. And then when it comes to like, everybody wants to be the best. Yeah. But like when you get into that interaction with people, you don't really have anything to show off. So you either, I don't know, how I see it is you either start making fun of people because you have nothing to show off. Yeah. Or you just, let me think about it a little bit, but I don't know, you just start, I don't want to say you act better if you're good at something, but you are more confident. How it is for me when I started working on things in my life and worrying about me, I could treat people better. Right. Because I'm confident in myself. Instead of being on TikTok for like 3 hours, gaining 0, I'm reading, I'm working out, I'm doing this. Yeah. I'm focusing on myself. I'm monitoring something that's going to help me in the future. Right. And me doing that, helping myself, I could help you more. Right. And I could, like even right now, I could tell you that. Yeah. Maybe you just never thought about it. Right. And I just told you that and you just... Right. Run off with it. That's because where you're allocating your time and your energy to is to making you better. That's the thing. I've been hearing this over and over again from Jay Shetty, and he talks about the monk life because he spent many years living with the monks. And what they would do is every single morning they would wake up at the same time every day, stupid early. I think it was like 4 a.m. And then they would do 2 different types of meditations, I believe, and then they would go to like monk sort of school, like educate. I'm very uneducated on it, but this is kind of like the rough spark note of it. And then they would learn about like religious scriptures and philosophies and things of that nature. And essentially the first half of their day was dedicated to working on themselves. In a way, selfish, but then the second half of their day, they would go out, they would go do charity work, they would contribute to the society, they would do tons of things that were for the betterment of the world and selfless. But the irony of it is that
is if they didn't spend that first half of their day doing things for themselves to get themselves aligned, then the second half of their day wouldn't fall into place, because you can't help anybody else unless you help yourself first.
That's very true.
You can't.
One thing I just thought about when you were saying, when you wake up, you just wake up by yourself. I've never, like, really... You wake up, there's not, like, 10 people. Like, maybe one day somebody barges in your room, hey, can you help me with this?
Yeah.
But, like, you wake up, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
bring the mic a little.
Yeah, my fault. You shouldn't just... The first instinct shouldn't be just going to talking to people. You wake up in the morning by yourself for a reason.
Right.
And then you should spend that time by yourself. And if you can learn to enjoy that time with yourself, you're going to learn how to enjoy that time with other people.
Yeah. I think a big thing because it's not a black and white answer of like, be alone, don't listen to anybody in the first hour, 2 hours a day, or whatever. It doesn't have to be some black and white generic answer. But for people like for me, for example, like my senior year of high school, I had a terrible mindset. Like I was trying, that's what I was trying to work on. And so I would wake up in the morning and it's the same habitual thoughts every morning, judging myself, judging other people, and complaining. Just negativity, just thoughts that were making me miserable. And I had no control over it at the time. And the thing that I found was most helpful was, since in the morning when you wake up, okay, so let me backtrack a bit. When you wake up in the morning, your brain is in a theta state and an alpha state. And those are certain brain waves where your subconscious mind is much more suggestible, right? That's when you wake up, you have the little daisy feeling. You're not really fully aware and awake like we are right now. Like we're fully in it. This is beta waves. But then when you're in those alpha waves, those theta waves, when you're transitioning from sleep to full consciousness, that's when you're most suggestible. Like in those moments, if you're doing things that are more helpful for your life, it's amplified because your brain is significantly more suggestible. So for me, the morning time was so powerful. The first thing I would do every single morning was I would pray, and then immediately after that, headphones on, and I'm listening to a podcast about mental health, well-being, like positive messages. It's not like corny affirmations. It's like I would throw on the Joe Rogan podcast with David Goggins, or a Jordan Peterson seminar, or things of that nature, where it's like immediately when I'm in this suggestible state, I'm immediately being fed things that are improving my life and improving my mindset. And not only does it prime me to have a better day, but it primes me to live a better life and think different thoughts habitually. So it's like in that, I don't know, there's just something about the morning time where it's like, if you don't get that shit down packed, like where your at least minimal first hour of your day is spent to make your life better, not only will you not be able to help yourself, but you definitely won't be able to help anybody else, because that's a prerequisite to helping anybody else. You can't. Right. It's like I want to give you this water bottle. If I don't have the water bottle, how am I supposed to give you a fucking water bottle?
And if you're thirsty, and you need both of us have to live.
100%. Let's say there's a well over here, and I want to make it my whole mission to get you water, but I never drink. I'm going to die of dehydration, and then nobody gets water.
And then I needed you, and then now I die.
Now we all die.
There's no gain in that. But whenever you're done with that water, what's the last thing you said? Because a thought came to me.
The morning time.
The morning. What comes in my head is always, I tell this to everybody, like joy comes in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I wrote that on my whiteboard.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, exactly what you were saying, like with the waves, that there's a reason why it's like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, if your first thought is happiness, the rest of your day is going to be happiness. And you said that, but I think...
Why do you think that is?
I think just... All I can say right now is God planned it, but I think it just makes... It makes so much sense. Like, why would it be in the middle of the day or the nighttime?
Yeah.
Like, in my head, how I see it, your first thought should indicate how your day is going to go. And the first thing you do... Let me ask you this. Let's say the first, 10 minutes you spend of, it's all... people would say negative, right?
Yeah.
Not helping yourself. You think if you spend the next 5 hours on, positive stuff, you would get that same effect? Let's say you wake up at 4. Up until 5, you watch TikTok. Up until 5 to 10, you work out, meditate, all that. Do you think from 10 to the rest of the day is going to...
No way.
You think... Because I agree with you. That you think that instead of taking that first hour, you take that first hour to yourself.
Yeah.
The rest of the day is going to be good?
Yeah. I'm just trying to dissect why.
Because it's crazy because you could spend 10 hours. Yeah. You could spend.
Yeah.
That like 5 minutes could be more important than the first 10 hours.
It definitely is.
Maybe I got to do more research on it.
Yeah,
Maybe next episode
we'll come in with better philosophies. Because I don't know. I'm just trying to think about it and like logically, like just because like for somebody like me and you, the answer God like it's fulfilling enough to the point where like I don't really have to answer too many questions. But like for the majority of the population that like want to understand, I do want to know why. Like I want to figure out like. Like,
it's why we're talking about it right now.
Yeah. I'm trying to. I don't know. I just want to do a little bit of digging because, like,
yeah, for sure.
Why is it so important? Like those because it is so fucking important.
I know. And the crazy thing I think is I hate the word rushing.
Yeah.
I mean, not the word. Just I hate when people rush.
Right.
That when people are late to school, late to work.
Yeah.
And they're rushing the whole day. Their mind. Like you were saying, those waves, they're susceptible to whatever happened. Mm-hmm. Let's say the first thing you think of is rushing. Mm-hmm. And the whole day you're going to think about rushing. Your mind's just going to go faster than it can. You're going to be stressed out the whole day.
Yeah.
And we know what happens with stress.
Yeah. Cortisol builds up, cancer.
And then you don't monitor that. You let that's the point we're talking about. When you get good, it slowly goes down.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you let a bad thing keep going, it gets bad. It keeps going down, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's already bad, but it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
But if you monitor that, you can bring that right back up.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Damn. My boy dropping bombs. You got me thinking right now.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I love when people, they take like 10 seconds to think.
Yeah.
Because, like they're really.
Yeah. Digesting.
All their brain power to try to answer your question.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, how you doing? Good.
Yeah. Surface level shit. Yeah.
That's literally just.
Yeah. Dude, I have no idea why I just thought of this, but I heard this on a podcast the other day. Ladies and gentlemen, the king of transitions here. So I was thinking about there's two sides of ego. There's two sides of ego because most people think of ego like you good?
No. We're good.
Okay.
I was gonna blow on this super hard, but
there's two sides of ego because like the way they kind of like introduced the conversation, the way it kind of like transitioned to the conversation was like most people think that if you have an ego issue, it's only like the chest up, big muscles, look at me, whoa, look at me sort of ego, like flexing on Instagram sort of ego. But ego shows up in the complete opposite way that people don't realize. So like that's the one side of ego of fluffing yourself up to seem better than you actually are because you're not okay with who you are. So here's you and here's where you're portraying yourself, right? But then there's the opposite of here's you and here's where you're portraying yourself, right? And so essentially it's the fluff yourself up versus pity party. Mm-hmm. But that's what the ego wants. Ego hates middle, neutral, everybody's the same. Everybody's equal. And so ego will either show itself in, I think I'm better than everybody else, or, woe was me, my life is way worse than everybody else. And that shit hit different because like a perfect example is like when you hear somebody talking and they're like, oh, this is the worst. This is the worst thing ever. What's the worst thing ever? And they'll be like, I didn't get enough caramel in my Starbucks. And it's like, oh, God.
I'm having such a bad day.
It's the worst day ever. And there's people starving and shit. Like, like literally people being committed genocide against. And they're like, oh, this is the worst day ever.
They don't know how I'm feeling right now, to be honest.
Yeah.
But what you were saying, if you don't mind, is you were saying that the ego wants to either be up or down.
Yeah.
And then there's not that neutral.
It wants the extreme.
And I said earlier, there's no neutral.
Yeah.
Do you think that's my ego saying that? Or do you think the world is just straight neutral? Like it should be neutral, but us as a society makes it go up or down.
Yeah, because everything as it is, like this podcast mic, this computer, this water bottle, these cameras, they're just cells combined to make things that do things. But none of it has any inherent value. It's the value that we give it, right? Why would you get upset if I took your phone and smashed on the floor? It's just metal and wires. Like
the value
it has no value inherently. The value that it has is the value that we choose to give it, right? And so that's why it ties back to the ego. Is like your life, like when you fluff it up, like your life doesn't have any. What's a better way of explaining it? I don't want to say your life doesn't have any value. It's like you're valueless. Nobody's better or worse than anybody else. Like in my eyes, like it's God. Like God created every man equal, every person equal, like everybody, like to the totally extremes. Agree. Like of the people you would consider the worst people on earth, they are equal because they are a human being. We are all human beings. Our choices is what separates us, and it separates us in how we view other people. Mm-hmm. But God created everybody equal. And when you try and do things or say things or portray yourself to be better or way worse than everybody else, that's your ego saying, I don't know, like essentially it's all significance. Mm-hmm. You just want to feel more important.
But where does that come from, do you think? Where does that value that the ego puts onto that?
The value?
Where does that value come from?
I think it's significance. Like I think it's a human need. I think it's everybody has a human desire to feel significant, to feel unique, to feel special, right? But the way you go about that is very difficult because you can either be significant in a way where you significantly love people more than other people, and so you feel that significance because you contributed more to society than anybody else does. It doesn't mean you feel it when you boast and brag about it. It means you feel it inherently because you know that's you. Like for somebody like you and I, like when you wake up at 5 a.m. every single day and you're working out and then you're not letting your eyes bleed on TikTok and you're not succumbing to these pressures and these things that are super addictive and you're not going out and partying like an idiot every single night and you're not doing things that majority of society, especially kids our age, are doing, you feel significant, but you don't need to go about that significance by fluffing up your life and trying to make yourself seem better than you actually are. You feel it because you're doing things that are good for your life. And that's how you're that's how you should meet that need in order for you to be fulfilled, right? That's lasting. That's long lasting. But for people who don't do that, for people who aren't disciplined and don't build the habits necessary to feel significant in a manner where it's fulfilling, the only way to get it is to fluff your life up on Instagram or try and get super amount of likes on TikTok, or the opposite. Woe is me. Try and make yourself seem like your life is so horrible compared to everybody else. Be pessimistic and nihilistic. Like there's two ways that your ego can do that. It's like there's nothing in the middle. It's either I'm extremely on the worst, like my life is the worst, or my life is the best. But we all have the need for significance, but it just depends on how you go about it.
I think one thing you said was, if I'm trying to remember, but like people, when they're depressed or like they're trying to get value out of themselves, or like show their value to other people, they fluff themselves a lot. And how I see it is, if something goes up a certain amount or down, it's got to go back the same speed. Yeah. So if you fluff yourself up, let's say you feel good for like a year. Yeah. People think you're whatever rich, like you look like this, like you fluff yourself up for a year. The next part of your life, the next season of your life is gonna just go straight down because you were living that fake life and you felt so. I mean, it's fake love. That's how I would see it. Yeah. You're feeling so much of that fakeness. It's not going to remain like that. It's got to go up or down. And you did it to the extreme where it can't go up anymore. So not only is it going to go down, it's going to go down quick.
Do you think that's like karma? How do you view that?
I think that's just how life should be.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the consequence to doing
I agree. That. I don't think you could twist the fabric of reality without it snapping back. You know what I'm saying? I completely agree. But I don't know.
Ask me a question.
Why?
Why?
Why can't you?
Why does it work like that?
Yeah.
That's where I think the first thing that comes to my head is how I see it is, I actually thought about this yesterday. Nothing is good or bad. Yeah. Like, you heard that before, right?
Yeah.
How I see it is, I have a friend, Alex, he says only God is good. So how I see it is, let's say God's up here. Yeah. Good. This is good. And you're like right here. You're going up and down, up and down, up and down. And then let's just say I would like to draw with a piece of paper, but it's fine. Yeah. But let's say you're trying to get up here, you're right here. You try to fluff yourself up. The thing is, I mean, this is kind of gives a whole different perspective on it. But let's say you fluff yourself up, I would say you go away from God, right? Mm-hmm. You have to do something to go up, and the only way to do that is through struggle.
Yeah.
So it gets so, you went so far away from God. Mm-hmm. The only way, I mean, I think everybody would agree with this. The only way to grow is to struggle.
Yeah.
But since you went down, you got to get closer to God. The only way to do that is through struggle. And because you fluffed it up to the extreme, you got to struggle to the extreme to get back up.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because
you did the opposite of struggle to put yourself there, to put yourself in that mental state, to feel those good feelings.
Yeah, I mean,
you didn't struggle.
How I see it is like life is struggle. That's what it is.
Life is suffering. It says that in every, not just Christianity, not just in the Bible. It says in every single religious scripture.
This is a classroom. That's how I see it.
Yeah,
like you just try different things out, just try to get closer to God. I think that's why God created us, to try to be. I don't know if it says that in the Bible. I don't know every quote, everything, but I think the main purpose is to get closer to God, and you're not going to do that being comfortable the whole time. Right. So you got to go through that struggle. And then those choices that you make is either getting you closer or away from God. And then when something terrible happens to you, I think that's an indication that you're straying away from God.
Right.
I mean, because I don't like.
No, I agree. The way Jordan Peterson talks about, because it doesn't even matter if he's Christian or not. It's like whether or not you believe in God, it doesn't matter. Like the philosophy still applies. Like you don't have to read the Bible to feel this in real life, but it's like when Jordan Peterson, a clinical psychologist who has seen hundreds of patients over the span of probably close to 30 years. Mm-hmm. I could be totally off of the number, but it's damn near close to like.
Plus, all it's the definitely talk to through.
Yes, a clinical psychologist who doesn't accidentally have millions of people following him and billions cumulative views of people liking his stuff, and learning from him, like. It's not by accident. With that said, he has been a therapist for many clients over the span of decades. And he says he has never seen any of his clients get away with anything ever, not even one time. Never. And the way he talks about it is like, he says, again, I'm very naive on this. I don't understand it to the fullest, but I'm just kind of repeating what he said. Is like, when something bad happens to his clients and they have no idea, they're like, oh, this is so bad. Like, why did this happen to me? Like, why would life or God or whatever, the universe, do me like this? Like, why me? And then eventually, after either a month or months or years of digging, they figure out, oh, this is where you went wrong. And that's why this led to this, which led to this, which led to this, which led to this, which led to this. And they have nothing to do with each other, but have everything to do with each other.
That's the tough thing about, like, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
But the question I want to bring up is, like, people grow up differently, right?
Yeah.
Why do, like, say you're, like, 5 years old and, like, you haven't done anything bad. Let's say, like, why does, like, a 3-year-old, their parent dies? Like, they didn't do anything wrong, which is kind of an argument to what we were saying. Right.
Yeah, I think about this a lot because the question comes up, especially when people ask me like why I believe in God. Like in the number one thing is, how can there be a God when there's this much suffering? Yeah. Like, how can there be a God if there is suffering in the world, if things that are unjust happen to people, if there's genocide, if the Holocaust, like things that are fucked up happen? How can there be a God? And the answer to that, in my eyes, is that God is love, right? And if God is love, then that means that it has to be true love. It can't be fake love, right? Okay, so rewind.
You got it, man.
How is there a God if life is suffering? If there's unjust suffering in the world, if there's the Holocaust, if there's 9/11, if there's terrible things that happen in reality, how can there possibly be a God? The answer is God is love and God is true love. Mm-hmm. But true love means that it has to be love through free will. You can't be God's puppet and feel love, right? I can't make you love me. I can't. I can't. It's impossible.
No,
I can't make anybody, you can't make anybody fall in love with you. You can't make anybody love anything. You have to have the free will to love it. right? Like, this is an extreme and a bit like terrible example, but like, you can't rape somebody and say that you both made love. Do you know what I'm saying? Free will. It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. And with free will comes choice. And when you have choice, you have the choice of doing something good or doing something bad. And that's where I think it all comes into play. It's like, when you have the choice to do something bad or to do something good, and you choose something bad even once, it can spiral, and it usually does, right? And there's a book, I think is it Viktor Frankl wrote? Essentially, or no.
We'll look it up and say it in the next podcast.
Oh, no, I know what it is.
What's the name of it?
I have no idea. Hold on.
Good start to it.
Yeah, fantastic. The Gulag Archipelago.
Okay.
And I forget who it was, but he was essentially a guy that was in the concentration camps in the Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. And he spent his whole time figuring out what he did wrong. He's in the concentration camps in the Soviet Union. Millions of people are dying unjustly. And he spent his entire time figuring out through journaling and meditation on what he did wrong to get into that position.
Yeah, that's... Who thinks like that? You know what I mean? There's a reason why you read that book. You know about that book.
I didn't read it, but yeah. Yeah.
It's such a famous book because he's probably maybe a handful of people who did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, dude, and it's the whole thing. Like, if there's one word, and I'm going to ask you this at the very end of the podcast to close up, but if there's one word I could leave anybody to make their life better, to decipher on, to meditate on, to think about, it's responsibility. Responsibility. That's it. Because the only way your life can get better is if you take responsibility for it. The number one thing that comes up with me, especially, I'm not sure, maybe law of attraction or however it comes up, but it comes up all the time. It's in relationships, and especially in relationships with kids in college, where it's like, they'll be in a spot where like, I don't want my girlfriend going out. I don't want my boyfriend going out. I get super anxious. He lies. She cheats on me. Yada, 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 yada. And it's just, he did this, she did this, blah, 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 blah. But the whole time, neither one of them are taking responsibility for their own issues.
They're just arguing at each other, looking at each other as a problem.
And talking past each other. But the whole thing is if you have problems in a relationship or in any area of life for that matter, you have to if you have a problem in a relationship or if you have a problem in any area of life, the only way it's going to get better is if you point the finger at you and yourself alone. I don't care if you think it's 99% them and only 1% you. Mm-hmm. Nothing's going to get better unless you fix that 1%. Nothing. Chances are it's not going to be 1%. Yeah. But even if it is only 1%, you have to fix that 1%.
But the thing is, how I see it is that you got put into that struggle to focus on yourself.
Yes.
And who knows how long that heartache or whatever lasts. Yeah. Who knows how bad that situation lasts. But it's all to make you become better. And when you have that realization, everything that happens is 100%. 100%. Everything.
Yeah, because a problem doesn't just exist. A problem is manifested through bullshit. And if me and you have a problem, it's the manifestation of our bullshit that makes the problem come up.
It's something that was like there, but it just keeps growing and growing and growing until, how I would say is, God's literally like, you have to fix it.
100%. That's what I was about to say. It's like whether God, universe, reality, or nothingness, whatever you believe in, presented that problem to you as a big signpost of fix your bullshit.
You can get better like this.
You can get better. And then the truth of the matter is if you're going to look at that problem and I'm going to say, fuck you, Yvonne, all Yvonne, I'm going to go to my next relationship with any dude or girl or whatever. It doesn't have to be an intimate relationship. And I'm going to be, fuck you, Yvonne, again.
Because you're monitoring it.
Yes, but also because you're not looking at where the fuck you went wrong. You're not taking responsibility, right? So like the way it manifests all the time that I see a gross amount, like a sickening amount, is in relationships where people are insecure. They'll be in a relationship, like let's say I'm in a relationship with a girl. Mm-hmm. I hate when she goes out. Therefore, I'm controlling as fuck and I'm toxic, and then it causes an array of problems. All these problems. Maybe she starts lying to me because I get pissed when she goes out. So now she lies to me, but now I'm pissed that she lies to me. And then it just snowballs into a bunch of problems. The real problem is I'm insecure. And I'm too insecure to let her go out because the mere thought of a dude hitting on her drives me crazy. So I go apeshit when she goes out, and then she starts lying to me when she goes out because she doesn't want me to go apeshit. But then I get pissed at her for lying.
And it just spirals.
The root of the problem is my insecurity.
That value you put on her is higher than yourself.
100%. But unless you get to the point where you're willing to take responsibility for your insecurity, you might break up with her because she's a liar, but then get into another relationship and run into the same problems. Run into the same problems over and over and over again. And then you get guys that say all these girls are just hoes, or you get the girls that say all men are trash.
Think about how many people say that too.
So many people say that.
Think about
so many people say.
Think about how many people get divorced.
Dude, it's wild. It's wild for me to think that so many people can go through relationship to relationship to relationship to relationship and say all men are trash, and not once point the finger at themselves.
Yeah.
It's like, first of all, you know inherently all men are not trash. You know that there's good dudes out there. Why aren't you able to attract them into your life? It's not all the dudes. It's not all the dudes.
They're waiting for you.
They are waiting for you, but they're not going to settle for you unless you fix your bullshit, unless you take responsibility. And it's like, what are you doing?
No, how I would say is you're monitoring the other person rather than yourself.
Yep.
That's
wow.
You can tie back into that.
100%.
I could say with the basics again. You're monitoring what they're doing rather than what you're getting wrong in your life. What's the basics? What's the thing you should be doing every day that you're not doing?
Yeah.
And it could be because you spend so much time with this person.
Yeah.
Let's say you're in school and you got to get your schoolwork done.
Yeah.
And then that's a basic thing, I would say. A basic thing is start doing your homework. Instead, you go off with this person. Now, the next day when you got to hand in whatever, you do bad on a test, you feel bad. Who do you put that anger towards?
Right.
And because you're not going to put it towards yourself.
Right.
It's not that you don't care about yourself, but you're not monitoring yourself. You're not going to feel that anger towards yourself. You're going to put it out in the world. Right. And then that's going to come right back to you. And then if you don't fix it, like we were saying before, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse until you monitor it. Yeah. Until you need somebody. Some people just need somebody to be like, you need to be better.
Yeah.
It sucks to say, but
you were that guy for me.
Yeah. It's like some days I need people to say that to me too. Right. Maybe I'm in bed for 2 hours. I would love somebody to be like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah. Because
sometimes you can't find it in yourself. That's why you need people.
100% agree.
You can't. A good friend of mine said, you can't do it alone. Yeah. You can't. He had a very big problem, and once he realized he couldn't do it by himself, he gave it to God. He was doing it. He's so happy right now.
Right.
He's happier than he's ever been.
100%.
It's that you got to put that responsibility in yourself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to know when to take good energy from other people. Take God's word, spread that. You just got to surround yourself with good people.
Yeah. Do not cast pearls before swine.
Yeah. That's the top.
Dude. Yeah.
It all connects.
It all does. Yeah. Monitoring, baby. Yeah. Monitoring. Well, it's because it's I don't know. Immediately when you say that, I immediately, when you talk about, a lot of times it's good for people to talk to you and be like, hey, you need a kick in the ass. A lot of times, I don't know. When you know this damn well. When I first started working on myself, I immediately thought that since I knew how to solve problems, it's not that I didn't know how to solve problems. I could damn well help a lot of people. Mm-hmm. What I didn't understand was that not everybody wants the help, bro. Not everybody wants to help. And not only that, but when you try and help people that don't want help, even if you're coming from a good place, even if the advice that you're giving them is something that will guarantee help their life get better, if they don't want to get help, stop trying to help. Because the only thing you're doing is devaluing your own word. Because what do you think it's going to do to you subconsciously, giving the same advice to somebody over and over and over again when all they do is reject it? What do you think it's going to do to your word? It devalues the fuck out of it. You're going to think, whether subconsciously or consciously, your advice is worthless. Because you're only giving it to people who aren't taking it.
No.
Yes.
Another thing what I was thinking about is people are going to take that, how you say that, and use it against you.
Yeah.
And then once you have like 3, 4, like the people you keep hearing that, that becomes who you are.
100%.
Like words are spells. Like whatever you hear, that's what you become.
Words are spells. To some people, it might sound a little mystically. Or
spells, I would like to find a better word than spells.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'll start monitoring that.
Yeah, because I like coming up with things that don't sound too magically spirituality-ish, and not cliche either.
Because people they like look at spell like
weird.
Even me, like I look at it, I'm like, what are you, like a witch?
Yeah, but then I think of, okay, let's change it to words are powerful. But then too cliche, too overused. Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta.
That's why I like monitoring.
Yeah, you'll find that word that perfectly fits. The word.
Yeah. Words are spells. For now, words are spells. And if you don't believe it, fine. That's probably why you're unhappy. But if you don't believe that if you spend time with negative people every single day for an extended period of time, that you're not going to be negative, you're dead wrong. You are dead wrong.
So you can't even see how it affects you.
You can't.
Like subconsciously how, like, I just don't understand how people, like, I mean, I probably don't understand it. If you have 100 people saying you could do it, I mean, we were talking about this earlier, and 100 people saying you can't do it. Like, where do you want to be?
Yeah.
Like, you could just internalize, like, in like 2 seconds, think, where do you want to be?
Yeah.
Like, you know where you want to be, and then are your friends doing it? There's no, like, oh, sometimes, like, it's either yes or no.
Yeah.
You're either becoming better with that person or you're becoming worse.
Yeah.
It's tough to, like, take them out. That's a bad word, but, like, cut them off.
Yeah.
It's tough. But, like, if you love yourself, if you value yourself to the point where you can cut somebody off, you're in the right track.
100%. Yeah, I mean, in a lot of times, the thing that people don't, because a lot of times, especially on social media in the self-improvement area, there's a lot of dudes, especially, that are just like, cut off all your lazy fucking friends and don't ever talk to them ever again. It's like, you don't have, it's not an all or nothing thing. It's not 100% or 0% thing. It's like, listen, if your friends are bums, and they just sit back and play video games and don't care about their life, and they're just pursuing jobs in college so that they can get a paycheck.
What you don't want to do.
Yes, if they're living a life that you wouldn't want to trade with, it doesn't mean you have to completely cut them out of your life. That's not what that means. But it probably means limit your association with them. Don't hang out with them 7 days a week, maybe once or twice a week. Like, you don't have to completely cut them out of your life. Like, granted, it would probably still help you if you did, but if you don't feel like you have the power in you to do that and the power in you to handle that drama, because it will come with drama, then limit your association.
I think one thing, people are so used to that relationship, I think try to find even one friend or like a different friend group. I mean, maybe it'd be easier to start with one person. See how that one person makes you feel. Just see
the contrast.
Because like once you have a comparison of like, all right, these dudes make me feel terrible.
Yeah.
But when I'm hanging out with this crowd, I feel like I could do anything.
Take on the world, yeah.
Like, you got to take that first step. Change is
That's
very
wild.
hard.
I never thought about it that way. That's when
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way. Yeah, because for me, I never really started cutting people out of my life that I didn't think were good for my life until I started hanging around you.
So you got to see what's out there to know what's out there.
Right.
You can't feel something you've never felt.
Right. That's It's the yin and the yang.
Like,
there's no good without bad, because you don't know what good is if you don't know what bad is. And you don't want to know what average is without good and bad.
The hard thing with people is getting that first relationship.
Yeah.
I think one thing I'll say with people, the reason why I could start talking to new people is questions are everything. Everybody loves to talk. If you ask somebody a question, they're going to talk. And if you truly listen, if you love yourself enough to listen and not spend that time listening to them rather than thinking what you're going to say,
right,
they're going to catch on to that. They're going to be like, okay, like this person's a nice person.
Right.
And then you're just going to vibe with so many more people.
100%.
You got to be very interested into somebody else.
Yeah.
You got to ask that question.
There's a quote from Dale Carnegie where he says, I might butcher this a little bit. It's in the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. I strongly recommend that book to everybody, like especially for social communications and whatnot. But Dale Carnegie quotes it and he says, "You'll gain more friends in 2 weeks by becoming interested in them than you will in 2 years being interested in yourself.
Probably even more than that, to be honest.
Literally. It gives me the chills because all my life I grew up trying to gain friends by showing everybody else how cool I was, trying to advertise and market myself in a sense, being like, I'm so cool, you should want to hang out with me. Not understanding that the real reason why people hang around certain people is because you go up to them saying, you're so cool, I love you. And the irony of it is that once you start giving people that love, giving people that attention, giving people that gratitude, giving people those compliments, that's when they're going to want to be around you.
And let's say there's like a negative person, I'll say they're having a bad day. You give them that one good compliment. Let's say their day kind of turns around. Yeah. They start being more positive. Think about that positivity you put out into the world and how it's going to come back to you. It's insane.
It's inevitable. That's the thing we were talking about before the podcast is like, if you're constantly like having a problem where you don't feel loved by anybody, if that's a problem for you and you just, I just want to feel that love, and you don't know where to get it from. Everybody has the need to feel that love. Everybody does. The number one way to get that feeling of love is to give it. Give it. If I want to feel loved in a selfish way, which is not selfish, it's a need. But if I want to feel love from you, I need to give love to you. And then ironically, that's the only time I'll actually feel it.
Because how are you going to receive something without giving it? Because how I see it, you're born with this body, you're born with this energy, this heart. You're born to give out love.
Yeah.
And the only way to receive it is to give it.
100%.
Maybe it's like, how I'm seeing it is like, say there's a glass, right?
Yeah.
You empty out your love, give it to somebody else in whatever increments. And then that love comes back to you with other people. And that love is more fulfilling to you.
100%.
Because it's a different type of love.
Yeah.
Because you love everybody, maybe not everybody, maybe I could research that, but maybe you love everybody differently. Everybody like gives off a different type of love. That's how I will see it.
The thing I immediately think about is like, when you get to a place, it sounds so corny and cliche, of complete self-love or self-confidence or self-respect, whatever word you want to use, doesn't matter. When you get to that place, right, you want to do nothing but give it out to everybody else. That's it. Like Andrew Schultz, he's a comedian. He talked about it on his podcast with Jordan Peterson, and we said he took MDMA, which is, I think it's Molly, and it's a drug that makes you super, super happy. And so he took MDMA, and he said that he got to this point where he had all these feelings of happiness and then some, where he felt so happy to the point where it was basically like it filled up his cup and then it was spilling out.
Was it like too much? Like he couldn't handle it?
What? No, he was just so happy.
Okay.
Like he was at full, and he had all this extra. He's like, what am I going to do with this extra? Give it to other people. And that's what the power of self-love does, is like when you get to a point where you have so much self-respect, so much self-love, so much self-confidence, like all you want to do is spread the love with other people. That's all you want to do.
That love just keeps, like you said, everything.
And then it returns.
It compounds, like you were saying before. 100%. It's not just straight linear. It's going to come back to you in ways that you can't even imagine.
100%.
Because God puts His grace on that. You can't make that up.
Damn.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, because I think another thing with giving love to others, you got to have faith that you're going to get it back.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of people, they haven't done it, so how are they going to know it's going to happen?
Right.
It's just having that faith that it's going to happen.
No, that makes sense. Because, yeah.
Yeah. Because a lot of people, if you never gave it that first try of like, hey, let me make this person feel happy, if you never gave that first attempt, in your mind, you're like, how do I know that works? Like, you don't take that chance.
Yeah.
I think it gets so bad for so long that you're like, all right, let me just try it. I think that's where some people got to get to. Like you were saying, don't cast pearls before swines. Some people they got to get to the point where they just can't anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what I was doing, dude. It's painful.
It
is. It set me back so far. There were so many people, especially friends that I hung out with growing up, is like, I was like, oh my gosh, I see your problem. I know the root of that problem. I know the ways to get out of that problem. Here's the advice that you need to hear. And it was exactly what they needed to hear. And it was coming from a good place in my heart. And I did want them to get better. And there was nothing selfish in that. But the thing I failed to realize was that they didn't want help. And if somebody doesn't want help, it doesn't matter how perfectly you lay it out for them. You're not going to help them. And simultaneously, by offering your words of wisdom to people who are doing nothing but rejecting it, you are only hurting yourself. I cannot express that enough.
Sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're good. If you think that you're going to help somebody by consistently giving them the same advice over and over and over and over and over again, and they're doing nothing with it, you're dead wrong. You're only hurting yourself, and you're probably hurting them too, because a lot of times the best thing some people need is for you to cut them out of your life, because a lot of times that's the only thing that will make them realize that what they're doing with their life is not okay. If you start drinking every single day and you become an alcoholic and you stop working out, you stop meditating, you stop spreading your word of God, and you stop being a force for good in this world, and I tell you, Yvonne, get your shit together. Yvonne, get your shit together. Yvonne, get your shit together. And you do nothing but tell me to fuck off, I need to stop telling you to get your shit together.
And the thing is, if you keep interacting with me, my mind is going to be like, I can keep doing this. I still have the friends around me.
Yep.
The only way you can love me there is by
leaving.
That's
exactly what I was going to get
putting me
at.
through the struggle to get closer to God.
100%.
That's it, man.
Because a lot of times, if you have friends, this is painful. It's so painful. I get it. But a lot of times, if you have friends that aren't taking your advice, the best thing you can do is cut them out. The best thing you can do for them is to cut them out. The best thing you can do for you is to cut them out. Because a lot of times that's the only point where people are going to realize that what they're doing is not okay, which will set them on the path to making their lives better. And then maybe you can rejuvenate in a couple years. Maybe it takes them 10 years to realize that, oh shit, what they were saying was right. And I need to work on myself. And then a decade later, you can be friends again. But if you don't, and you continue to just let things slide or continue to give advice to people who aren't taking it, you're doing nothing but hurting everybody involved.
I want to say, how? Because before you were saying you don't have to really cut people out. Do you think there's instances where you should just not talking to that person until he changes?
Oh, yeah.
And then would you say just cold turkey do it, or just slowly like?
It depends on who it is, to me. Okay. For me.
It's just situational, you'll say.
It's very situational, and it depends on who you are and if you can stomach that. Because a lot of people, especially females, like, I'm not trying to be sexist, but especially for girls, like, a lot of times it's harder for women to cut off their friends because they're more emotionally tied to them. Like, for a lot of guys, like, a lot of guys are more easy with their ability to just say, fuck you, I don't want to be friends with you anymore, you're a mess, I tried helping you, you don't want help. Logically, best thing I should do is to cut you off. A lot of times women have struggles with that, men do too, but, like, I don't know, I mean, it depends on who you are. If you could stomach it and you know you're in a position to do that, do it, right? Obviously, step 1, give them a helping hand. Step 2, wait, be patient, give them time to get their shit together.
Wait for that reaction. Let them make their choice, I'll say.
Yeah, let them make their choice. It's not a split-second decision of, hey, I notice you're on a bad path. Are you going to get your life together or no? Not right now? Okay, see ya. That's not how it works. But
because they're not going to be like, yeah, I'll listen to you right now.
Yeah, I'll listen to you right now. Now I'm motivated. Now I'm going to get my life together. Everything's going to be better within 2 days.
They got to go through some shit.
Yeah. This is not a one conversation and then you decide whether or not you're going to cut off your friend that you've been boys with for 5 years.
If they're very important to you, monitor them for like a couple days, couple weeks. If they're helping you grow, stay with them. If they're not, like, you got to like limit how much time you spend with them.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people don't understand, like, a lot of people don't understand whether or not the people they're hanging around are good influence or not, and it's hard to objectively look at it, but here's the way that I do, is there's personal development, and you have the areas that I've said a million times: finances, career, mental health, physical health, spirituality, religion. If that person does not have a higher standard for themselves in any of those 6 areas than you do for yourself, they are adding 0 to your life.
You down.
They are adding 0 to your life. It's that simple. And if those are the type of people you spend enough time with, you're going to eventually lower yourself until you're at that standard, because the law of influence is real. It's real. There's just no way around it. Like, if every time I hung out with you, I didn't feel a need to get in better shape, to have a better relationship with God, to want to be better, to make more content, to help more people, like, why should I spend time with you? Why?
Especially if that's such a goal that you're trying to reach.
Of course.
Like, you're putting... if you reach a goal, you could help so many people out. Like, tell them your story. Yeah. Some people... I don't want to say it wrong, but some people don't need you to preach a sermon. They need you to live one. Mm-hmm. I heard that. I forget.
Say it again?
Some people need you to live a sermon or something
I get it.
They need you to live one instead of reading it to them.
No, that makes perfect sense.
I kind of just... My mind went blank. What were you talking about? The last thing.
I mean, I just started thinking about something that was relating to that. I was talking about we'll standards. If you're... Fuck it.
You just get in the flow state.
Yeah.
We'll pick it up.
But immediately when you say that, it's like, say it again. The quote one more time.
Some people need you to live a sermon,
not to preach one. So immediately what I think of is like, the best way to preach a sermon is to live the sermon,
and then you could tell people about it.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. Like for me, it's like, the number one way that any of my friends, including you, obviously, the number one way you can influence me and make me want to be a better person is for you to keep working on yourself. It's going to become obvious in ways that you can't quantify. You don't need to tell me straight up, I'm working out every day. I'm meditating every day.
See it.
I have a clean room. I have a good relationship with God that I'm working on. I'm working on my relationships with my family, yada, yada, yada. You don't say those things. You just exist as you are while simultaneously working on yourself to the best of your ability, and it rubs off. There's no way around that.
What I got out of it is like I think the best cue is like your visual. When people see something, that's when things click.
100%.
Words are like, they do a lot. Like to your subconscious, I think the mental game you have in your head is very important. But when somebody sees somebody, the mental games in their head changes.
Yeah, because think about it. Let's say you're 50 pounds overweight, and you're hanging around dudes that are fit as you every single day, and you go to the beach, and you're at the beach for a whole summer, but you hang out with nobody else but those dudes like you. I would put $1 million on it. By the end of that summer, that person has lost 25 pounds.
I want to say 25. I say they get better shape.
Yeah, fair.
Because
think about it. No phone, no, not even no phone, but they are not being influenced by anything or anybody else besides those people. I defy you. If you have a problem in your life, to get around a group of 3 or 4 people that have the things that you want for an extended amount of time and cut off everybody else, take that test run, and I defy you to tell me that you don't get better.
1 sec.
You're good.
All right, say it one more time. Apologies.
No, you're good. If you have a problem in any area of your life, whether it's spirituality, finances, any of these areas, and you want to get better in those areas, and you find a small group of people who have a higher standard for themselves than you do for yourself in that specific area, and you no longer are being influenced by people with lower standards or social media with lower standards or anything with lower standards, within minutes, you're going to be on the right path.
Who wrote Atomic Habits? If you know,
James Clear.
Yeah, it says in there, if you wanna get good at something, you gotta surround yourself with people where that's the norm.
The tribe, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it.
That's such a good quote. I forgot about that.
Because if you think about it, they're monitoring it so much to the point where they're so good. You have to monitor it.
Yeah.
You have to. What else are you gonna monitor? You're not gonna monitor something. If you see something all day, you're gonna think about it.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about it, you're monitoring it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn one day to use that word.
Yeah.
Say it, but not today.
Monitor.
Monitor.
Monitor. No, say that again.
If I could remember.
Surround yourself with people where that's the norm. Is that what you said?
If you want to learn something, surround yourself with people where that's the norm.
If you want to learn something, surround yourself with people where that's the norm. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, can't take credit for it, but there's a lot of things I think we say that we can't quote.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, but that's from Atomic Habits.
Dude, that's me. That's my gift. My gift is synthesizing other people's philosophies and breaking it down into either or knowing the right time when to use a quote, knowing the right time when to pull. And I'm basically like the Google of self-improvement. That's what I think my gift is like, I know how to coach people in a way where I could take this, I could take this, I could take this, I could take this. I read this, I listened to this, I did all this. And like, I just know how to synthesize it correctly to help you at the right time with the right amount of influence, like impacting in the right way.
When you're talking to somebody and you want to help them out, are you thinking about it in different ways? Like, how does your mind work? Like, say somebody comes up to you, like, Jay, like, I see what you're doing. Like, I want to become better. Has that happened to you?
All the time.
What's going through your head?
The first thing when people say something like that is, do you really want to get better, or do you just want to talk about getting better? Because most people just want to talk about it because it feels motivational in the moment, and it feels nice to be like, I want to get my life together. I want to start working out.
It does.
It does feel good to talk about
People don't realize it gets better and better as you go.
Yeah, but like most of it's me saying, no, I'm not going to coach you because you don't actually want to get better. You just want to complain about your problems.
You need to see in them. You got to see it before you could.
Dude, you could feel it when you're talking.
That's true.
You can. It doesn't take anybody, like, unless you have some serious mental disability where you cannot read social cues. You can tell when somebody's serious about something.
So have you had a time where somebody like said that to you, and your first thought wasn't, do they really want it? Your first thought was, this person wants it.
Oh yeah. Okay,
that's interesting. So you have that. You could just tell by that first interaction.
I would say it's probably like 25% of the time that happens. But 75% of the time, people don't actually want to get better. They just want to talk.
I thought it was going to be worse. I thought it was going to be like 5%, 95%.
Yeah. Maybe it will. Who knows? But yeah.
But say you're talking to me versus you're talking to somebody else who wants to grow.
Yeah.
Do you speak differently, I would say? Do you use different words?
Yeah. Because rapport. Because like so rapport is essentially connecting with somebody when you communicate. Because communication is not just words. It's tone of voice. It's posture. It's how fast you talk. It's how loud you talk. Like, do you use a certain accent a little bit? Like, a perfect example is like, how connected do you feel to your cousin Tony when you guys are speaking Croatian and everybody else around you speaking English? You just feel way more connected because it's like rapport.
Just build.
It's rapport. That's what rapport is, right? But like, if I want to talk to you and I want to connect with you, I got to be sitting the way I'm sitting. That's why I'm sitting the way I'm sitting. I'm not up like this the whole time. I'm not like this. We wouldn't be connecting the same way.
It does feel weird now that you set up like that.
Right. It feels off. It's breaking the rapport. Yeah. Right? If your hand's here and I gradually I put my hand here, or I put my hand here, now you're monitoring it. So you, LOL. I didn't just say that. But no, like.
I see what you're saying.
Now that you're paying attention to it, you can see. But like, if you want to build rapport with people, it's damn well easy. People don't even notice. Like, if somebody crosses their leg, and side note, when you go to speak and somebody just spoke, like, here, say something. Hi.
I'm saying something right now.
And then I go to speak and I do this. When you speak and when you first say a word, a lot of times you change your physiology. So
you're saying me or like people?
Anybody. When you first say a word, when you respond in a conversation, a lot of times you'll change your physiology.
Like right now, like that?
Yep.
Okay.
And a lot of people do that. It's super unconscious, but you can pick up on it if you like pay attention to it.
What does it mean? It just happens?
It just happens. It has no meaning.
Is that like you can...
But that's what I do to build rapport with people. Okay. Especially because I start with physically, and then eventually people's mental barriers, they don't even realize it. They begin to just shut down. And then we'll talk, and then eventually, if I'm talking, I'm going to be doing this because you're doing that. If you didn't even notice, my hands are already on my lap here. Like you're doing things to build the rapport with people, so they feel more connected to you. But they don't even know why. They just like, I just feel like this kid. He listens and he knows me. He just gets it. He just gets it. He just understands. It's like I'm building rapport. Yeah. Because if you're the type of person like. I was about to say someone from high school. I'm not going to say it. But if you're the type of person that's like, that talks this fast and every single time you do something like this, then I'm going to respond to you like, I really think you should get your life together. You should be exercising. And they're going to be like, oh my God, he's just like real, you know? He just knows what's up. And he's like, he's cool. Like, I'm just matching. That's it.
Yeah, that's all that kind of goes back to like when you want to make a friend, you got to match what they're doing. Show them that love and then match whatever they're doing.
You got to match. And a lot of people don't like it because it seems like you're being fake, but it's not.
It's not.
You're using psychological like hacks to like build a connection with somebody so that you can help them.
How I see it is if you have that good intention in the beginning, that's all that matters. You shouldn't question yourself.
That's all that matters.
I want this person.
Yeah.
I love the tough word with like a stranger, but like I want this person to feel good. I want to like this person.
Yeah.
If you have that as your intention, there shouldn't be no question of like.
There won't be. Yeah. But so what were you getting at? You were asking a question. You were like, what's the difference if you were talking to me or somebody else?
No, you pretty much answered it, to be honest, because just everything you said in this past 2 minutes, like just like how people are moving and like you mimic. I think when you have a deep connection, that's when you start mimicking people.
Yeah. Yeah, in order to get somebody to listen to you, they have to feel like they can trust you and that you're connected. Like that's step one.
One thing you said is like your accent, because I talk differently at work than with my friends. Yeah, it's just how it is. Mm-hmm. And I think over time it does change to like whatever you're comfortable with.
100%.
But that's very interesting that you said that.
Yeah, there's a reason why. But most people wait to have things in common in order for them to build rapport. But you can start by matching and mirroring to build rapport and then find things in common. Because things in common is going to take time. You just got to get to know people to figure out what you have in common on paper. But like, if I can sit like this and like this and like this, you're going to feel a lot more connected to me. And you're going to have no idea why.
Because I think in your head, you're like, this person's me. This person's like me. Yep. You want to be near somebody who's like you.
Yeah, it's a tribe.
And it's also the attraction.
100%.
Like if you're doing it in some way, not sexual or anything, but it's an attraction.
100%.
Yeah, man.
Hell yeah. Damn.
Yeah. I just got very quiet.
A little eerie.
Yeah.
Jason's closure. We can roll for a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah, what was I going to say?
I think one good thing is we could keep talking about something, but I love the word questions, but like I asked you that question and it could just lead into something that you never thought about. Because questions are the only way to do that.
Yeah.
The only way to do that is why does this thing work like that?
Yeah.
And then once you look at different perspectives, you could break it down a little bit and then find something you never found before.
100%. Yeah, I find that for me, just the 3-letter word why and repeating it and asking over and over and over
like
and
a kid.
over and over again, literally curiosity like a child. And you ask yourself why, you will get to the root of the problem every single time.
Yeah, you get a piece of paper, write down what happened.
Yeah.
Why you're feeling it.
Why are you feeling that? What happened there? Why did that happen? Okay, why did that happen? Okay, why did that happen?
Keep going down.
Why did you feel this way? And you'll get to the root of the problem.
Because you're spending so much time trying to figure it out, you have to find that.
You have to.
Everything you look for, you find.
100%.
Knocking, it should be open to you. Something like that.
Knocking, it shall be open.
Seeking, you shall
Seeking,
find.
you shall find.
That's an easier one.
For those who asketh,
receiveth,
and those who seeketh, findeth.
Yeah. Whatever you want to. I know I told you this. We were at Catone one time, but if you want an answer to something, you're going to find it.
You'll get the answer.
You won't find it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You'll find it when you're vibrationally ready for it.
100%. And that's the thing is with do not cast pearls before swine. It's like, if you want to get better, you'll get better. It's that fucking simple.
Yeah.
If you actually want to get better, you'll get better. But people don't like hearing, no, you don't actually want to get better. You just enjoy complaining about your problems. Because you get attention for your problems, which makes you feel good, which means you're attaching feeling good to your problems. So you just run through this loop of complaining and complaining and complaining. You don't actually want to get better.
And then they're like, why do you hate me?
Why don't you... Dude, I get this all the time. Because I finally learned my lesson of do not cast pearls before swine, where people are like, Jay, you do the coaching thing, right? Like, help me. And then they'll be talking about relationship problems or this and that. And then eventually I'll let them do their spiel. And then I'm like, do you actually want to get better or do you just want to talk about it? And they're like, what? What do you mean? And I'm like, exactly. Like,
you just answer my question.
You just answer my question for yourself. If there's 2 different sides to it. If you want somebody to just listen to you, everybody needs someone to listen to them. When things are going wrong, sometimes it's good to vent. sometimes it's good to get it off your chest. But after it's acknowledged and after it's fully dissected, that's it.
When you're not talking about it, you never have a chance to release it. So it's just going to stay in your heart.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's so many problems with that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and I'm assuming for you, I get that through meditation. A lot of people just don't spend time to listen to their own thoughts, so they need to get them out to somebody else. They need to vent and sometimes complain to other people so they can get it out, and then it's off their chest, and then they feel better.
I wanted to ask you, do you think everybody can meditate it out?
Everybody.
Okay.
Everybody.
I'm just curious because people need to tell people their problems so they could, when you tell somebody something, you release it. Do you think there's things that are too big to meditate on?
No.
What about let's say, I know I watched one episode of the Conscious Cast when you guys were talking about closure. Let's say, let's say somebody killed somebody in a car crash.
Yeah.
Right. You think they can meditate that out?
Yep.
But do you think they would obviously feel good, but if they went to that person, their family, and was like, I'm sorry, do you think there'll always be something in their heart until they say something?
I think the meditation would lead them to understanding what they need to do.
That was a perfect answer.
Because you would have gotten the same advice from somebody who wants the best for you, but you could have found that within yourself. You just don't take time to actually listen to yourself. Because meditation is
what we were saying, why?
Right, but it's also an email inbox that you have.
I tell people that all the time because of you.
Of all your thoughts. Well, it's not even because of me. It's because of Naval Ravikant, Joe Rogan podcast. But he talks about your meditation is basically an email list. And you have all these thoughts, all these problems, all this bullshit that's happened to you in your life. All of these things that you haven't addressed. And then slowly through meditation, these thoughts come up and then they pass. And then they come up and they pass. And then your inbox just goes and it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes. And you maybe have thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of emails that you have stocked up that you haven't given yourself time to either talk to other people about or listen to yourself think about and fully think through. But once you get to that magical inbox of 0, that's when you actually arrive upon the art of meditation, because then you're fully present in the moment and you're not occupied by any thoughts of anything that's happened over 48 hours ago.
I think one thing I want to add to that is, you said there's 100,000 million, there probably is that many things going on with your head. You can't, I just thought about it now, you can't tell that to every single person. And you're in your mind 24 hours a day. So the only way you can have enough time to be free with it, accept what happened, is through self-help.
Yeah, through meditation. But meditation is such a corny, overused word. When I find myself in the best meditations, when I'm golfing without music on. Number one time when I find myself actually figuring shit out to the best of my ability. I'm hitting the course, I'm by myself, and I'm literally just with my thoughts. I'm not thinking about golf or whatever. Maybe sometimes I am, but I'm just by myself.
You're what people would say meditate.
Yes. Instead of for me paying a therapist to listen to me, I'm just spending time alone, listening to my own thoughts.
You say that's soul searching?
Yeah, that's a good way of synthesizing it. Yeah.
Maybe that's another word.
Yeah. Because it's you're allowing that inbox to go through each email, each thought, each problem, each process. And it doesn't mean, don't get me wrong, when you're meditating or when you're meditating, aka when you're allowing these thoughts or these quote unquote emails to come up one by one, it doesn't mean that you solve the problem. It means you accept it. That's all that means.
You most of the things you can't solve it. It happened in the past. You have to accept it.
But the reason why it's still clutter in your brain is because you haven't accepted it. You haven't thought it out fully. That's why. And then those emails might come up again in a different form,
and then you learn something from
100%, because the email might say, "Why are you so overweight?" Okay, figure that out. Why am I so overweight? Okay. Why am I so insecure about this? Okay, why do I overeat? Okay, this. Okay, this. And then the email will say, time to work out. Nah. Okay, why are you saying no? Why is this? And eventually, you meditate enough and you get to the point where you understand what you need to do to stop that sender from sending you these emails over and over and over and over and over again. And
amazing way to look at it.
So it manifests itself, and you manifest it in yourself where you develop a habit so that you no longer have these demons giving you these thoughts.
Because when you find that, I don't know if you would say peace, but a good word you said is you're just present in the moment.
Yeah.
It feels so good.
It does feel so
good.
good.
Whatever you could do, let's say you were saying like you get that email, you got to work out. How painful it is to work out. Yeah. It's worth that reward of being just peaceful.
Oh, 100%. And dude, not for nothing. People always, it's like a psychological hack to me to think that like working out is only hard. The only hard part of working out is putting on your clothes and getting in the car. Think about it. That's the only part that actually sucks.
It's that like decision to work out.
It's pushing the box, right? So you ever have like a heavy object on a rug, and you have to push it across the room? It's hard for 1 second, but once your legs are behind it and the force is behind it, it's moving.
Simple.
It's nothing. You're just moving with the box. The hard part is like trying to get it to that friction.
That first friction, yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck is it? It's not fluid friction. What the fuck is it?
Fluid friction.
No, it's a word for the friction.
Kinetic energy.
Nope. Philosophy. Picasso. Anyways, to get past that first initial push is the only hard part of any habit you want to build. Mm-hmm. Meditation is hard for a second. When you sit down and you close your eyes and you take that first deep breath, you're like, fuck. Yep. I can't deal with all these thoughts. And eventually you're like, oh, it's been 20 minutes.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Because you're, what I've been saying to people is no matter what you do, David Goggins says a lot, like your mind gets accustomed to whatever you do. Mm-hmm. So if you don't meditate, you're not going to it's not going to be easy for you to meditate. But if you keep meditating, your mind's going to be like, we don't feel okay if we're not meditating.
100%. Whatever habits you build, eventually the flip side becomes true of what makes you feel uncomfortable. Because if you are so uncomfortable with exercising every day, it's because it's new. It's so new. But once you're exercising every day for a month, what's new to you is not exercising.
It's when you get injured and you can't work out.
Then that's weird and it sucks. And you're like, fuck, I would need to get in the gym.
That's me right now. I'm like, I would just want to work out.
Because we're human beings. We love the sense of certainty. And when you have that sense of certainty, meaning you have your habits of, I journal every day, I read every day, I meditate every day, I exercise every day, I talk to people every day, I coach every day, I do content creation every day. When you miss, it feels fucking weird.
Your mind's like, where am I?
Your mind's like, what's going on? We're used to doing this at this time. And that's why I also like doing certain things at certain times every day. Is like every single morning.
That timing.
Yeah.
Does that help? Let me ask you, does that, let's say like I work out at 10. Like give me an example of what you do.
So helpful. It doesn't even matter what I do. Like for me, like my morning routine is the same every single morning. Pretty much, I would say 99% of the time.
You wake up at the same time?
No. That's different. Once I got to college, it's different because like some of my time I want to go out and party, I want to go out and have fun. Like I don't want to have regrets. So like there's certain days where I'm waking up later. But once I wake up, it's the same routine. It doesn't matter if it's at 7 at night and then when I wake up, or if it's 5 in the morning when I wake up. But my routine's the same. I wake up, I pray, I do my daily affirmations, and then I put in my headphones, listen to a podcast, make my bed, brush my teeth. Every single day. And then I'm off to the races, whatever I'm doing, right? Usually, well, now that I think about it, I think it's also every single time. Pretty much every single time. Meditation, visualization exercise, and then physical exercise. Every single time.
Let me, what is that visual, what'd you say?
Visualization.
How does that help you? Because I said earlier about daydreaming, that really helps me out. How does that help you?
So the way I broke it down, because I thought about this a lot, because I hope you know this isn't me being cocky or ego. It's like I have over 200,000 followers on TikTok, over 9 million likes, like a ton of people following my stuff. I'm getting a ton of opportunities. Like life is throwing things my way like I wouldn't believe. Like the opportunities that are coming to me now, even like all the time, it's amazing. It's amazing. But the reason why is because I'm now attracting that into my life. And a big part of that for me is visualizations. And it sounds corny and mystical and like words or spells. It just sounds weird. But the way I break it down is like this. It's like I grew up not having people believe in me. You can feel when somebody believes in you. You don't need someone to tell you, I believe in you or I don't believe in you for you to know whether or not they believe in you. And most of the time, when people say they do believe in you, you can look at their face, you can get that energy where you know if they do or they don't based on the way they're saying that to you. And so I grew up with people not believing in me. And so I was like, okay, how do I get myself to believe in myself to replace these thoughts that I have, which are not helpful? Like, I don't believe in myself. But those thoughts were put there from somebody else, which means I could put a new thought there.
You could fix it.
I could fix it. And all it is the repetition of information, the repetition of philosophies. That's all it is. It's literally like an equation. Tell yourself something enough times and it'll be true. Your belief will be true. Granted, you cannot fake it till you make it. I don't believe that in any way, shape, or form. I'll get to that in a second. But if every single day I'm accompanying my habits, which are making me into a successful human being, with the fact where I'm affirming my belief in myself, where I'm telling myself, where I'm visualizing where I'm going to be every single day, that repetition of visualizing where I'm going to be on that stage talking to thousands of people. I'm going to be coaching that person. I'm going to have these millions of people following me. I'm going to have all these things where it's like not an egotistical thing. It's not for me. It's I'm going to provide value.
You see it.
I see it. I feel it. I feel that sense of certainty coming to me. And over time, through the repetition of the visualization, I begin to believe in myself. Granted, an absolute necessary piece of that is the fact that every single day I'm working out, I'm surrounding myself with positive influences, I'm meditating, I'm journaling, I'm reading, I'm doing all these things that are absolutely necessary. But through that, I change my subconscious mind to believe in myself. You need the habits and you need the new thoughts, essentially.
How I would say it is, those habits that you started working out, like whatever, everybody can daydream, but they can't daydream as much as you because of those habits that you have.
100%.
They can't, let's say like you play video games all day, like you're what people call a bum. You can't visualize yourself all day being successful. What people would say successful. Let's say, I'll just say having a mansion. You can't see yourself. Maybe you like for a minute or two you can. But how long can you daydream for? I could do it all day. Literally some days.
Well, yeah, I love the way you put it, actually. That makes a lot more, I think it's a better way to word it, is like, I'm acting out the life of somebody. Like, if I were to look at somebody and say, oh, he's living the life right now where he's building himself up to be a millionaire, a successful person, a happy person, a fulfilled person, a person that gives to society, that's how I'm living my life. Pretty much to a T. Like, I hope it doesn't come across as egotistical, but it's like, I'm maximizing the fuck out of everything all the time.
I don't know if we could take a quick break or something, but my back's hurting. My leg just went numb.
Oh, we're good.
Yeah. You want me to, or you got it?
Oh, actually, you know what? Can we just wrap it up?
Yeah. That's why I thought you were gonna do it, but
yeah. Okay, so we'll just cut that out. We'll edit that out.
Nice little edit session right there.
So, the last question that we always put, that I like to put, I might come up with a different set of questions, but the last question I want to ask my guests is, if you die one day, or if let's say you're going to die tomorrow, and you have a gravestone that everybody in the world is going to see, but you can only have one word on that gravestone, what would it be?
One word.
Give it a second. Think about it. What would that? It's one word.
Kind. And I get that from what it says. The most, I think in the Bible it says most attractive trait in a I don't know if it says human or boy is kindness. So if God's saying that, that's what I want to be. Give me a sec. Yeah.
Damn. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on the third episode of the Jason Sklar Show with my boy, Yvonne.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Of course.
Giving me the opportunity and the platform.
The first of many, my friend. This conversation actually went amazing.
Of course.
Absolutely amazing.
As it should.
As it should.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Sklar clocking out. Stay handsome, stay beautiful, and stay positive. Peace be with you all.